Hey, Shannon, I'm so excited that you're here on the Sarah Hall Show. I know that we've been planning this for a few weeks now, and I'm just really excited that we're finally here. Love for you to share a little bit more about your story and how you became an entrepreneur and how you help people.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me, Sarah. Really excited to be here and to share my story with listeners. So I'm a plus size personal trainer, fitness coach, certified exercise recovery specialist, and an indoor cycling instructor, in addition to being a writer. But I just do it all. I do it all, or I try to, right? So the way that, becoming an entrepreneur, it was never something that I really thought of myself doing. But in 2019, I was laid off from my full-time job, and I'd been doing some contracting stuff as a side hustle. And I thought, well, you know what? I don't want to go back to working for anybody else. I'm going to try and go do this online thing. And I was really focused on my writing at that point in time. And so did grant writing, did some copywriting, did different things in that space. And then in 2021, I started going to Orange Theory. So Orange Theory offers group fitness classes, and you run and you row and you do stuff, weights and stuff on the floor. And I really, really liked it. And I thought, hey, you know what? I'd like to be a coach here. And so I said, what do you need to do in order to coach here? And they said, well, you need to become a certified personal trainer. And I thought, well, I can do that. Like, that's no big deal. So I went and did my personal training certification through the National Academy of Sports Medicine and finished that off at the end of 2021, all with this intention that I was just going to be like, well, I'll wait until they're hiring at Orange Theory. And then I was, sharing this stuff on social media that, hey, I'm a certified personal trainer. And for me, this was a big deal because I'm a larger woman. I've had a really negative relationship with exercise, lots of disordered eating habits, all that kind of stuff. And for years, I hated exercise. So for me, it was like, hey, look, I'm a certified personal trainer. This is a really big accomplishment. And then I had a girl that used to work for me who lives here in Calgary. And she's like, hey, could you be my personal trainer? And I thought, well, yeah, sure. Why not? I'm certified to do this. That was going to be in person, but it didn't actually happen. So then back in May, I thought, you know what? I want to build an online platform and do online personal training and mindset coaching. And so I started off by hiring what I call gym bros, unfortunately, to go and help me with my marketing and trying to get more clients. And that was a huge mistake because, I bought their online product. There was like a sales funnel and a nice little video. And I thought, oh, they're guaranteeing that I'm going to make this much money and get all these clients. And I thought, okay, great. What can I lose out on? But when I got into the program and I started looking at what they actually wanted me to do in order to attract clients, and like these skeezy kind of scummy tactics, like they have harpoon scripts and they're just like constantly join Facebook groups and like steal from other competitors. And it was at that point, Sarah, that I just like randomly came across one of your posts on Instagram. And I was like, I think I need to know more about this woman. And then I commented on a post, you commented back, then we started DMing, and I thought, okay, I found the person that I need. I'm going to have to spend more money, but I need a business coach. And that was the direction that I decided to go. And so that would have been about June. And then we've been working together ever since. So here I am doing my one-on-one coaching, doing this work that I really love, working on getting clients. But the biggest part for me is that I'm helping and I'm connecting with women who are plus size, who identify as fat, overweight, whatever they call themselves, but they have a really broken relationship with exercise. And what my goal is right now is to get them moving in a sustainable way that's healthy for them, that doesn't create unrealistic expectations about the type of exercise they should be doing, but just really starting to incorporate movement and heal that relationship. And then working so much on body image and mindset and habit formation. And for me, and for them, that's the biggest part. That's the most important part for building something that's sustainable and changing that relationship with exercise.
I love it. And I love everything about you too. And one thing that I think we've come to realize over the last even just 90 days is, and I want to talk about it as the concept of censoring ourselves on social media, So when you use the terms plus size or fat or obese or overweight, I think a lot of women like identify those words because of society and because of culture as, well, that's bad to be plus size. I mean, technically I'm considered plus size as well based on my clothing size, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't really feel like I actually like my body. I don't feel like there's anything wrong with it. But I think society has identified that using the word plus size, or, you know, how doctors identify obesity just from a
Right.
chart, you know.
Yeah.
So what is your belief on those terms, and like how did you get comfortable with those terms? And then in turn, how is that with your ideal clients, getting them comfortable with those terms?
Absolutely. It's been a really interesting learning journey for me because it's such a political and cultural topic. And I didn't realize the extent of it until I got going on social media and looking at other influencers and people that are in this anti-diet, anti-weight loss space, or who are talking about things like fat phobia and where that comes from and how damaging it is and the discrimination that fat people experience. And so when it came to censoring myself and using words and I started it out saying, okay, I'm plus size. And kind of, for me, that felt like less than like, going and just saying I'm fat, because fat has so many connotations associated with it, right? Like we view it as such a bad thing to be fat because of how fat people are treated, because of how fat people are thought of in society as being like inferior or less than. And as I've learned, I've been like, oh, so that really explains a lot of why we feel this way about ourselves and our bodies, is because of how society says we're unlovable, we shouldn't be thought of as attractive. I don't want a body that looks like you. Like we fear fat so much. So in February, I just decided, I thought, okay, if I'm going to connect with my ideal client and I'm going to be bold and I'm going to not let this stuff get in the way of growing my business, I'm just going to come out and say, hey, I'm a fat fitness coach. So what, right? Trying to change the idea that fat is an insult, but using it as just like a neutral descriptor, because it is a descriptor of what my body looks like. And it's a descriptor of what a lot of people's bodies look like if you're going based off of the BMI. And so what was holding me back was I would see all of the online trolls and like the haters on Instagram or Facebook, going after other people that are doing this work and being like, oh my gosh, what if they like tease me or make fun of me? And then I stopped and thought, I'm like, these are randos on the internet.
Yeah.
Why would I let these people get in the way of growing my business, but of helping other women that need help? Right? Like, whatever, throw it at me, put it in the comments. Oh my gosh. Like it just kind of bounces off my back and I'll respond. Sometimes I say, hey, thanks for helping my algorithm. Other times I'll comment back, if it's something that I actually feel like is going to add to the conversation. But when people just come on there and they're like, oh, you're fat, or, all that kind of stuff, I'm just like, yeah, whatever. But there are also times where I'll just delete stuff because I don't want that vibe on my page. And I will see clients that start coming to my defense. They don't need to do that. That's, if I wanted to defend myself, I would. So I try to keep my vibe really, really high. And being authentic, posting different content, trying different things to see what resonates with people. And so with that authenticity, I've also been trying different types of content to see what engagement actually looks like. And it's so funny to watch how with algorithms not prioritizing stuff like Reels quite as much now, I've started going to the little screenshots of Twitter captions, and I hadn't been tweeting at all. And some of the highest engagement I've had and responses and people commenting and sharing is now coming from that. And I'm just sharing like little opinion pieces about diet culture, obesity, and the use of that word because some people view it as a slur. And that is so interesting to see because it's bringing in more ideal clients and it's bringing in more eyeballs, and people are really responding to it. So as soon as I made that change to just be my authentic self, it's like my business just went 180. And now here we are.
So let's talk about, because it takes courage to do that, to like just get out there and talk about things that may be unpopular opinions or maybe frowned upon. I do it all the time. I'm always calling out what I see is just ridiculous crap on the internet as far as business. And it just
Yes.
took me a while to get out there and say, these are my beliefs. I'm not bashing others for their beliefs, but this is my beliefs, because my ideal client, AKA someone like you, believes in what I'm saying, and aligns with it. We're not here to make the bullies happy, and we don't care if they align with our message. But I know it took a lot for you to say, like, because it doesn't matter how personally developed we are. When someone says something, it stings a little bit
It does.
when it comes down to like being rude or bullying you or disagreeing with you. I mean, it's human nature. It stings a little bit. So what goes through your mind when you read a comment and you're able to just say, they matter like zilch in my life and they're not impacting my life? Like, how have you really been able to transform the mental toughness? Because I think that a lot of people struggle with that. And a lot of my listeners are struggling with that right now,
Yeah, I mean, we're social creatures and we are designed to be looking for approval and to
Yeah.
fit in and to have people like us. Like, that's what you want. You don't want somebody teasing you. You don't want somebody coming and calling you fat. And I thought, okay, you know what? I've been teased. I've been bullied before as a kid. I grew up being bullied and teased and called fat many, many times. Like I've heard this stuff before, and it was very emotional for me. It was very traumatizing, and it formed so much of my identity for years and years and years and years. And I kept myself from doing things. I had very low self-confidence as a kid and as a teenager and well into my 20s and 30s. And, of course, there are still days that I don't feel confident. And there are still days that I'm just like, oh my gosh, I wish I could lose weight. I don't like how I look, like, oh, blah, 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 blah. But that mental piece is huge, because I decided that, and there's a lot of women that do this, they decide that they aren't going to go and live their life and do the stuff they want until they lose weight. Mm-hmm. And for me, that was something I did. And, it kept me from going swimming with my family when I was a kid, because I didn't want to be in a swimming suit. It kept me from doing all kinds of different activities. And I thought, okay, you know what? There's enough of this. And I had my own health issues that started when I was 34. So when I was 34, I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes and congestive heart failure. And both of those things came as a total shock to me. I had no idea. And all of the doctors and the nurses at the hospital when I was there were like, oh my gosh, you're so young for congestive heart failure, because this is something that you typically see in a population that's like 65 and older. And so, fortunately, I made a really good recovery from that with medication, exercise, all of those types of things. And I'm already dealing with chronic health conditions. I'm already dealing with a lot of stuff that a lot of people my age haven't had to deal with. And so I'm just like, you know what? I'm 37 now. I've got a lot of life to live. So I'm not going to let that hold me back. And that's been the thing since I started personal training, is that don't let your health hold you back. But when it comes to like just shifting that mindset, it's about how you perceive yourself and the life that you want to live, and just believing and trusting that you're on the right path and doing what you want with your life, and not letting other people judge you. And when it comes to online entrepreneur space, and I know with like a lot of your other clients and the stuff that I see on our Zoom calls, everybody's really afraid to show up on social media. So afraid. And I was that way too. But then I just decided, listening to you, listening to Sid and the mindset coaching calls, I just decided, like, as both of you say, like, why are you letting this stuff get in your way, right? Like, why are you going to limit yourself, limit your business and the people that you can help because of something on the internet? And I think too, the focus on not just being all about me, but being about other people and that helping aspect of it. When you shift it from yourself, like me, oh, I've got to make money, to who can I help today? Whose life is going to change? That is when it's like, well, I can take a little bit of abuse on the internet from trolls, if it actually means that I'm getting clients to see themselves differently, to view their exercise differently, and hopefully setting them up for a long-term sustainability.
Yeah. The whole thing that I think it comes down to, and this is what you said, is a decision.
Yes.
And, information is a powerful thing, right? Like all the information that, that people get in general when they join my coaching and all the one-to-one help that they get. But if you don't apply the information, it usually comes down to some sort of internal, mindset or belief system failure, because we tend to like absorb those thoughts. Well, I shouldn't post this because what people are going to think about me. So I'll just not post anything, or I'll do a watered down version of what I was going to really want to say. And then
Yes.
guess what? That watered down version brings in a watered down ideal client.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like I had been relying a lot on and doing, what the guru said. And in 2022, I mean, the big thing was reels and trending audio, right? Like that
Yeah.
was everything. That was what you got to do. So I had been doing, my trending audio reels and doing my little lip syncs. I'm not a dancer. I don't do the
Oh,
dancing.
me neither.
But trying different things, right? And seeing what's the latest. And engagement with that was kind of so, but it really wasn't getting the message out. Like it was more like, let's make people laugh. And it was almost like, well, let's make people like me, like falling back into that old thinking, like people gotta like me, right? And I'm gonna make them laugh. And that's always been my go-to. It's like, well, I'm fat, but I'm funny, or I'm fat, but I'm smart. And so it was just that decision to just go, okay, you know what? Now I need to actually look at what the content is that I'm making that is actually me. It's sharing my opinions. It's, showing other women. And I've had this feedback, about how much they appreciate the content, how much they love seeing a larger woman who's actually doing the work and talking about these subjects. And I've had a few requests for people to, show me exercising. And that at this point has been a little bit of like, oh, I don't know if I want to do that. But I'm like, well, whatever. I go and I exercise in public. I do all these things. So we'll make a video of it. So, right now I'm recovering from a little bit of an injury. But once I'm back and feeling like I can do that, I'll start doing that. Because if that's what people want to see, and that's going to show them that, hey, she can do this, I can do this, that's my goal. And that is, I saw a great quote from somebody else actually yesterday on Instagram that was, my job is not to instruct you, it's to inspire you. And I thought, hey, you know what? That is what I'm here to do. Because with the women that I work with, so when I do my program delivery, I do the personal training through an app called Trainerize. And it's really cool because I'm able to set up their program in the app, and then it has video demonstrations of each exercise because I can't be there in person to show them how to do it. So they can do Trainerize on demand whenever it works. I'll set up a schedule for them and they can follow through on the exercises, rate the exercises in the app, and then we can DM back and forth. But then the biggest part, like I've said, is the one-on-one mindset coaching piece and actually having conversations with these women. And the exercise is just a small piece of what we talk about. It ends up, we talk more about mindset, how they're feeling, how they perceive themselves, what are their challenges. We talk about stress, we talk about sleep, we talk about their eating. But at the end of the day, it really comes down to how they perceive themselves, their confidence, where it's lacking, what they can do to start, building that confidence and to perceive themselves differently. So like in health and fitness, we often talk about, transformation and look at these before and after photos. I don't do any of that because for me, I don't care. And for my clients, that's not what they're after. They're after wanting to feel better in their bodies. They want to have less pain. They want to sleep better. They want to move better. But mostly they're looking for that transformation in their mindset. And that's where we get the most success. And that's where, my client feedback, if you look at it consistently that I'm posting on Instagram, it's about how women have changed their relationship with their body, that they don't have to be it's not all or nothing thinking anymore. And it's coming to a place where they have more peace with what they can do now in the body that they have. And that for me is like, that's gold. That's what I do.
Yeah, I love it. Well, and I think too, any transformation that we make actually starts with the mindset and the belief, because if you don't believe or you don't have your mindset in the right place, you're not going to take action in most instances. It doesn't matter if it's like fitness, business, you can have all the information in the world. But a lot of people have struggles, even with high levels of accountability. I'm sure you've seen this over your couple of years of coaching too. Even with your amazing coaching, your amazing Trainerize app, everything you're doing for people, sometimes they still struggle actually applying. And that's why it's so important, in my opinion, that everything actually starts with mindset. And I think years ago, like, I don't know. I just think people tried to power through their goals instead of working on their internal thoughts and beliefs. And now I think
Yes.
what we're finding as professionals, health and fitness professionals, business professionals, mindset professionals, is that it doesn't matter the transformation. It could be fitness, it could be nutrition, it could be a weight journey, a diabetes journey, it could be trying to make more money.
Anything.
Yeah, it's got to be mindset focused. So I'm sure you see increased compliance with your clients because you're not just saying, here's these exercises, go do it. You're actually digging through their emotional connection to what they are doing or what they're not doing.
Exactly. And the other thing too that I really like to focus on is, your mindset needs to be in check because, like you said, you can have the best workout clothes, the best personal trainer. You could be going to a fancy gym. You can have all that stuff. But if your mindset's not in check, you're not going to do it. You're not going to show up. Like it really doesn't matter. But then I also acknowledge that with any habit formation, there's going to be stops and starts, right? And you're not going to get it right every time. And so I really try and help clients move away from that all or nothing black and white thinking piece, because so much of diet culture is about, going, well, to quote a client, balls to the walls. You're working out 5 days a week. You're not taking rest days. Like, none of that stuff matters. And that exercise has to be like miserable and something horrible. And that's something that you do because you want to lose weight. And, before you can commit to anything and that you're actually going to see a result, your mindset has to be there with the understanding that you're not going to be perfect though. Like you're not going to get this right out of the gate. You're not going to be building those habits. You're not going to be really doing any habit formation that's going to be successful right off the gate. There's going to be stops and starts. But the key is coming back and saying, okay, so I missed up a couple days. I'm not starting over. I'm just picking up where I left off. And so many of these mindset pieces and these challenges that we see, especially in health and fitness, a big one is, you've got to hit every day in order for the challenge to succeed. You've got to be perfect every day in order for you to succeed. And with my clients, what I want them to do is get into the habit of building consistency, but giving them space for when they're sick, for when they're injured, for when they just don't feel good. They don't have time. Those are perfectly good reasons and valid reasons for not doing something. But instead of looking at it as, oh, I screwed up, I got to start again, it's just pick up where you left off. And that is a huge mindset shift that I had to make for myself. And I know that you probably see that in your clients as well, is that at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you missed a day. Just get up the next day and do it again. And keep going until it becomes a habit. And there's, a great book by James Clear, Atomic Habits. A lot of people have read it. I'd highly recommend it if you have not. And it talks all about how to build habits and how to just start small and increase from there. And so that is the same kind of framework that I apply with my clients, especially if they're just coming to me that are brand new to exercise or they haven't been exercising. And that's where most women are, is they're kind of starting over, looking to get started. It's just look at the small things that you can do every day and build on those and build on that success. And then you see those wins, the small wins, and then you get the momentum. And once you've got the forward momentum, it grows and it grows and it grows until you're at a place where it's like, oh, hey, now this is just part of who I am and this is part of what I do.
Yeah, it just becomes that new normal because you actually created mindset that drove the habits that became consistent, that then just became the new normal.
Exactly.
And I think you're definitely right. That's with health, that's with fitness, it's definitely with business, because it's this concept of perfection, right? Well, the video's not perfect, so I'm not going to post it. Or
right, yeah.
I don't know if I look a certain way in this reel, so I'll just do it again and then not post it. I mean,
precisely. You could spend like hours and hours doing that. And, I've done that with a few, and the ones that are longer, that have taken me longer, it's like, oh, you got 500 views. right? And then the ones where it's like, I bought some donuts and, put a little reel together about reminding people that you don't have to burn calories, in order to enjoy your treats. And it's like 15,000 views later, and it took me like 2 minutes, right? So we get these perceptions that we have to be perfect, or like people are going to judge me if I don't look perfect on camera. Like, who cares? Let them judge you. Odds are you're never going to meet them. Like, it doesn't matter. They can judge you all you want.
The
likelihood is pretty slim. And if you did, I would be like, oh, you know who I am. That's kind of creepy. You're coming up to me, right? Oh, okay.
I have had that happen though, and I'm like,
oh, I'm sure you have. You've been doing this longer than I have.
Exactly. But you kind of look at them like, should I know who this person is? Because honestly, people's photos, their profile names, their Instagram handles, it's all different. And sometimes I feel bad, like I should know who. And so I'm like, what's your handle?
Yeah. And then, who are you again? Yeah. Oh, it's so great to meet you. Yeah. Can I take a selfie with you? And you're like, no.
I don't mind a good selfie here every once in a while.
No. And I mean, it people are genuinely like, if they love you and they're inspired by you, then you're doing your job. And so sure, you can take a selfie. That's great feedback, right?
Yeah.
That's what you want. And that's what you can hope is your goal. The other thing I wanted to mention too about like just stepping into that authenticity is the number of connections with like other providers and other people who are doing similar work on Instagram has really opened up as well. Because again, it's that authenticity, and it's like all these options are now coming open for different podcasts I could be on. I actually have a gym that it's like 5 minutes from me, and they've been following me for a while. And the other day, I got a DM from the franchisee, and she's like, I've been following you and I just love your content. And I'm really trying to create an inclusive space in my gym that, is not like your typical gym. It'd be great if you could come up and we could meet and we could chat. And I was like, I have no idea.
Awesome. Yeah.
So after we're done recording here, that's where I'm going, is up to meet her. And I just thought, well, that would have never happened without social media. That would have not happened if I hadn't just come out and said, hey, you know what? This is who I am. So like these opportunities, when you're authentic and when you just put yourself out there, you have no idea. You really have no idea what's coming and who's watching you on social media, who's following. And they could watch you, as you know, for years and just be a lurker. Right. And they'll comment on your stuff and they're like, that's awesome. And then the next thing you know, they show up in your DMs and you're like, oh, well, there's an opportunity. And whether that's, a business opportunity with a client or that's, someone you could partner with, it just kind of blows my mind. But it's what people need and they want to see on social media, because there's, like you said, there's so much inauthentic stuff, right? And people just post the highlights. But when you just show up and be yourself, it's amazing how people respond. And I think it gives them the idea then that they can show up as themselves as well. And that, again, for the mindset piece is huge, that I can be me and that doesn't matter. I'm not going to be judged. Or Shannon's doing it, so why can't I?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, I think something to be said about the authenticity piece is like people, they don't want to see the same thing from you that they're seeing from other people. And I think so many times people get on the internet and just start to be very robotic. Oh, so-and-so did this reel. Let me just duplicate it for my own business. But it's not even truly like, they're not even thinking. It's not even like what they actually want to say. And what happens is the ideal client comes across the reel and is like, oh, I saw that on 4 other influencers' pages.
Yeah.
Like, I'm over it. But instead, when you step into like the whole donut thing and like the fun reel that you did, that was something that you wanted to do, you thought of, you had creative direction on. And look what happened. People were like, oh, never seen this before. So I think that's a really good note to make about a breakthrough with not censoring yourself anymore, saying what you actually feel, having fun with your content, not second guessing if someone else is going to love it, because we're always going to attract people or we're going to repel people. And what I found over the years is the ones that I have repelled, they just weren't for me anyway. And that's okay. It's not a bad thing. But in turn, when you become more authentic, you attract the right person to you. So it seems like that's one of your biggest lessons and or breakthroughs that you've had about not censoring yourself, making sure that you're authentic with your content, being okay using the words plus size or fat and not in a negative way, but drawing in those people that really appreciate that message. Is there any other like big breakthroughs or lessons you've had in the last year or so?
Growing an online business takes time.
Yeah.
And that, as you know, of course, like it is, it's definitely challenging when you're like, oh my gosh, okay, well, I have bills to pay. I need to find clients. But, also understanding that, and this is a mindset shift as well, the clients are out there. Like there are so many women that I know, it sounds funny that women are like in this space are underserved because most diet culture stuff is aimed at women and transformations and weight loss. But if you look at fat women and plus size women, there's nothing out there, or I shouldn't say nothing, but there's just this very limited number of people that are doing what I do. And so, trying to get through this message is, I have put myself in a position where it is going to be more challenging. But having patience and perseverance and knowing, that there's this huge pool of women that are going to identify with me. It's just a matter of time before they find me. And so that is something that I continually fall back on. And I continually just go, okay, they're out there, they're coming. It's just about being patient. It's about doing the things every day. It's about doing, outreach in my DM. It's about posting content. It's about, again, comes down to consistency, right? One of my struggles, though, has been consistency with, finding clients. And I think that's going to shift now with my new content strategy, and even just like warm leads, like people who were liking my stuff were all the same ones. It was all the same ones. Yeah. It was all the same ones. But now I'm starting to see new people coming in. And so I think the biggest lessons are patience and then trying different things and trying different stuff and not being afraid to fail. And then also being able to just pivot and go, that's not working, not sticking to something that is going to, set you up for failure, or if it's just not working, right? Like the definition of insanity was Einstein said the definition of insanity is, repeating yourself and expecting a different result. So understanding that it's going to be a challenge, that this is going to take time, that you're not going to like instantly be like, look, I've got 20 new clients. It doesn't work that way. The sales process takes time. Learning how to sell in the DMs takes time. Learning what to say to people, how to position yourself, what your marketing message is. It all takes time. But I think it comes back to just the faith and the belief that you're on the right path, that this is what I'm meant to be doing right now. Like I look at all of the circumstances that brought me to becoming a personal trainer, that I never in a million years would have thought that this is what I should be doing. But here I am, and I know that I'm supposed to be doing it. So that is part of that mindset piece that, again, it's a shift and it's still a challenge and it's going to be a challenge. But knowing that it's coming and knowing that the success that I want is out there, it's available to me, is really, really a big part of it. And without the mindset shift, and I think probably without working with you, Sarah, I just would have given up and been like, well, just going to try and find more writing clients, and been like, no, not doing that. And so, finding a business coach is a really, really good suggestion that I have. Working with you has been like completely shifted my business and my mindset, and looking for people that know what you're going through, who've been where you're at, but they've had success, and you need to surround yourself with people that have had that success that you're after, because they've done it. And they can say, that's probably not going to work, or have you tried this, or, stick with it, that kind of thing. And so for me, it's understanding it takes time. It's a learning process, finding someone that can you relate to and you can learn from, and trusting yourself. At the end of the day, you have to trust yourself. If you don't trust yourself, it doesn't matter, because then you're not going to do anything. You're just going to sit there and wait for stuff to happen to you.
Yeah, I love your attitude. It's refreshing and amazing to be around, and you've been such a great client, and we're going to continue to see, 2023 be amazing for you. So My last question for you is, what are you most excited about? What's next for you? Anything you want to share with the listeners?
Yeah. So I think what I'm most excited about is being able to, get to a place in my business. I want to be earning consistent income. So that part is, I'm excited about it, and I know I will get there. And it's building over time. But I think what I'm most excited about really is, sure, getting more clients gets me money. Great, cool. But it's about the helping people. It's about spreading that impact and finding those clients and finding those women that I can help. That's what gets me excited. And that's what gets me up going in the morning is, just this thought that, okay, 2023, who knows how many clients I get, but with the ones that I do get, I'm going to help. I'm going to see some sort of transformation in them and keep working with them. And that for me is, for me, that's actually, it's kind of healing, because I have these wounds and I have these issues that I've dealt with for so long because of the size of my body and because of being teased. So I empathize, I have that lived experience, and I can use that. So, everything, some people say everything happens for a reason. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But you look at my journey, you look at where I'm at, and I'm like, yeah, it does. It does happen for a reason. I can use my health issues. I can use my personal training. I can use my lived experience as a fat woman in a fat body and what that looks like. And I can help people. So for me, that's the thing I'm most excited about. I know it's going to transform my business, and it's like a shift that I really needed in what I was doing professionally and personally. So those are the big things I'm most excited about.
I love it. And we're definitely going to put your information down in the show notes. So if anybody's interested in partnering with you or working with you, they can go straight to your Instagram and straight to your program application. So I really appreciate you being on. We'll get all that down in the show notes. And I'm just so glad that we were able to do our interview today.